share that. So here, the assignment, which was here for last week, now this I haven't put it up yet there. So 7, so it's back over here. Well, since nobody's handed it in, I'm going to move it on up here. Should have been in there, so put it there at least. Now in the gradebook it's showing up twice, but like if I go over here, assignment briefs, why do I have, the heck is it now? Oh, well, it keeps going up here. Oh, no. Yeah, okay, sure. So that was that. It's going to drive me crazy. On-site table info. Well, that's the, should be the next version, really. But I don't have that there. See, now it's not showing up over here. Oh, well, it's under assignment briefs up here. Well, let's move it down to more where it should be. 7, 8. Well, it should have been about there. So now I did move that like that last time. So, but anyway, so we're into this week here. 8, 7, here we are here. Now it's moved to cell, or no, I put that there. Okay, so anyway, so, and I don't blame you for not handing this in if it's not showing up anywhere. But here it's like in week 7 here. And don't worry about the date. Well, what are you doing here? So create your own website index and add an about and gallery page. So this should have been handed in already. I went over this a few times in classes and recordings if you want to verify that. There is this CSS mobile grid first template, home about gallery, that you can use for your own site. I've mentioned this before. This is from an old Zoom recording that I did a couple of years ago that you can see how, and talks about making this thing and what I did with that and how to do your own thing. May be helpful. But here, like if you download this, which you're welcome to do, and base your own website on it. I see, you guys are having difficulties. So here we'll go to downloads, and this is the site here. I've downloaded this about 20 times. But anyway, so here, if you open this up, open with a Safari, we'll open it with Safari for now. And so this is this here. I've gone over this before. So you can create a logo and probably need to create it somewhere around 200, 300 pixel range. Doesn't have to be too terribly big. Then you have the title. So the way I did this here, this is done in Flex here. Let's look and see what I did. It's very similar to what we just have been doing with the Pacific Trails and the bistro, all those kind of things. So let's just look and see what I in fact did here. We'll open this sucker up and actually I'll open up the index one here. Now, why are you not open with Dreamweaver? Okay, so here we've got it here. This is not right. That's for Pacific Trails. I haven't updated that there. But here you can kind of see that, okay, I got it in a wrapper, and then I got a header, and I got the logo, and the image logo is here. Now, like I defined the image as 150, just, you could do that. I don't necessarily like doing it that way, but you could. Here, say if you made it 200, it's just going to make it bigger. So, but by default here, I wanted about 150. So that's fine. And this one here, if you make your logo, save it as a ping, and it has a transparent background, that's always a good thing. Otherwise, you're stuck. If you save it as a JPEG and where it was transparent, it would have to be, your background here would have to be white. Okay, so that's the logo and then title of the web page. But here you'll notice like, why is the logo over here and this over here? Well, if we go over to I've got this based on the grid CSS here. So I've got the whole thing in grid. So, and this might be easier actually, in terms of doing your own. And the way, the last one that we were doing, the first thing is not grid at all. The tablet version is not in grid. I've made a version here where it's just all grid. So, you have less headaches doing it this way. So when you display grid like this here, this is displaying grid, this is displaying grid, this is displaying grid. Does this one have to display grid? Not really. You could just have this as block, because it's not going to look any different here. But here, because here I wanted to flop the nav from being like this, okay, to being here, then doing all this stuff in grid is super easy. So, or it should be super easy. And then here, the rest of it just is normal flow. These boxes inside here are displaying flex-wise, and we'll look at those. And then this one here is grid as well. And you should be able to see what I changed on this here. It kind of goes back from the nav bar being up top here to flopping it over here. So on the first one, when you're dealing with grid, because it's so much easier just looking at it straight grid here. And I tell you, every time I teach this course, it's just, I know how easy this can be. And, I think I just got to weed out some of the stuff that the author of the text, I know what she's getting at and all that, but, like some of the, it's like, hey, you can do it this way. Hey, you can do it that way. Hey, why not just do it? This is the freaking easiest way to do it. So we've got here the wrapper. So if we understand this here, we've got a body tag. So you got to understand some of the basics of the HTML, which I'm sure you all kind of do now. Here's the body. Inside the body, like the body wraps everything except like the HTML tag wraps everything, including the head tag. So, but then the body wraps everything that you actually see on the page here, right? And then you got the wrapper that fits inside the body. You just think of those Matryoshka dolls that you got a doll inside a doll inside a doll inside, and that's what's happening here. So inside the body, we got a wrapper which wraps all these guys. Okay, so here in the inside the wrapper, you've got a header, and then you've got the nav. Now, when you're dealing with grid looks at the direct child. So if we are saying the wrapper needs to be a display grid, then all it's looking for is the tags that are the direct tags to it, like header. Okay, so this is a direct descendant. This is a direct child of the wrapper. The nav is a direct child of the wrapper. These guys inside here don't matter. The grid doesn't look for that. It's only looking for your direct child. So here it's looking for header, then it's looking for nav, and then the next one. This is where it gets kind of tricky. Here I have a div class, hero, and now this guy is outside of the situation here. And then here I have main. So this is a direct child right now. If I took it and moved it inside main, then it would not pay attention to that. Okay, and then we've got inside the main, we've got and this is the way I name this thing, article class 1. So, and sometimes you want to make classes of things if you got a number of articles or something along that line, that which makes sense. And then a div class of story, and that's an article. Now, but that's inside of main, so the article is not a direct child. And then article 2, class 2, that's still in main. That's not a direct child. So all these guys here are inside main, and then we've got footer, which is another direct child. So when you're doing the grid here, what you got to figure out when you get back into the grid CSS, so like this one, I started this one just because I figured it was easier, just because grid is easier in the long run, is just display the whole thing as grid. Like right now, you don't even have to display this as grid. If you displayed this just like what we were doing before in block, because we don't want any fancy schmancy stuff, it just kind of will display this way anyway. So I understand why she's doing that. But here, if you just display this, you'll understand grid better. So display grid template, columns. Here, I've just got that at auto, and I got grid template rows at auto. I try to make it as easy as possible. And then here we've got the grid template areas is header, nav, hero, main, footer. Okay, so those are your direct template areas here. Now, then you've got background color. That's all that. And then this is just all the stuff inside the stuff here. So here with div logo, so padding. So I just got some padding around the div logo. Obviously you can kind of change that out. You see I want some padding there. That kind of just pops it down somewhat. And then logo image is here, kind of hero. Now the hero, I want that to be in this one here. This is the the hero image. I've got it just set at 100%, so it goes like directly across. Now here I could switch this stuff around, like right now inside here, with the because I don't want it to this probably, if I fleshed it out further, the hero image, another image, it looks kind of silly. I probably should have this image under this one would look better, and maybe switch it around like that. But that's all easy peasy stuff. So nav, and so with the nav here, right to start out with here, what I'm first declaring now in the nav, I'm want it to display flex. Now if I get rid of flex here, okay, and what is going to happen is it's just going to display this way as block. Here, tell you what, we'll put that back in there, and we'll take both these guys out here like so, and it's going to display, well, here it's we'll just get rid of all these guys here, and so just temporarily, so it displays like this normally. It just lines to the left. Okay, so then when I put those guys back in by flex, that's what it does. Now remember, when you have flex, flex wants to display in line. So if I go like take the column out of this one here, then it's going to display this way. This is the natural flow for displaying this section, and I've got it under nav UL. I don't have it under the nav. You know, like the nav UL is, you know, inside the nav tag. So like if you look at this here, what did here, so I got the nav, and there's only one item in the nav is the unordered list, so that doesn't need to be displaying flex. What I want to have displaying flex are all these list items. I don't want them to naturally flow up. Well, I do on this one here, so and it would, but so here, if I go like this, just go to flex direction column, because you can flop all these things around. So that's great. Text align center, padding 0. So that, and the padding is just, you know, if, you know, I guess I wanted it looking like that. And then nav list, nav A. The nav A is just displaying block. And that is for when it displays block. I think that what I did with that there, here, let's just take it out. What happens is, can you see how that displays? Looks like crap. I wanted you know, the whole space that is available to you know, I just don't like that. And then, you know, I don't like the border bottoms like this, so I go display this as block, and then all of a sudden it's the whole deal here. It's like, ooh, that looks much better. So cool. So if you want to do it that way, if you run into that problem, and it's got to be under the A, the nav A, the link button. So here, take it out, displays like that. Because like right here, you can see with the background here where the hover thing is coming on here, that's the actual space of the A tag. So you may like it, but personally I kind of like this here, display block. Then it kind of, you know, especially like this view would be used with your mobile phone, so that would give you much more room to stick your big old fingers in there. So, and then we got the hero image here. This, even though I made this 1200 by 300, the image, that's the biggest it needs to be. So and it's not 1200 by 300 here. You can see clearly that it's shrinking and going different sizes, and it's getting bigger. And where it's 1200 by 300 is up over here. Okay, because I wanted it to be like so. Now, so, and here, this is just all stuff to try to make this look kind of decent here. So I've got like the nav A first of type, and so like here I want a border top, so that's what gives the line here. So, and these are all those pseudo things that you can do. So if I take this off here, you'll see it gets rid of all the border tops there. Okay, on the first of top, and then the bottom one gets rid of, I don't want one there. So if we take that off, then we'll see, oh, actually I got something doubled up there. Well, all right, we could fix that up. Nav A hover background, so that's where that grayish color is coming in there, 666, and it changes the text color to white, so it's kind of a subtle thing. Main image, so here, going with main image, like with all these guys, I've got them so that they're all taking up about 100% of the space is available there, so they in the main area, so we won't get too worried about that. Here with this is pertaining to just the gallery page, even though we're just looking at index here, and then gallery figure, and then article 1, and then article 2 image. So that's just specific things for, like this is article 1 here and article 2. So if I want them to go different here. So now, just getting back to the grid, so you have a better understanding of it. You know, this here, I talked to you about this before. Any of those, like, I don't know why the 1FR still comes up as an error, but if you put it as auto, then the error goes away. But the one FR works. And that's just like one fraction, but it comes up as an arrow here. Expected R brace at line 89, column 59. So I don't know what the deal is here, but it's crazy. Now this auto fit thing, I hadn't talked about this. This is kind of a cool deal when it comes to the gallery page. Remind me, I'll mention that. So anyway, when you go down here to the media, so here we're going like this looks fine up to a minimum of 600 pixels. So yeah, that looks great. If somebody's looking on a mobile phone, fantastic, that's great. But if it gets further wider than that, then it starts looking silly. So here, what I want to do is get over to this here, and we can see that I've got something that I added on there or subtracted. Now it's got those border tops on there, so I don't want any border top on there. So what did I add on here? We just got to go back to the regular one here and just go over to where all the nav A stuff was. Let's see. No, it was the list. List column. That was all this business here. First of type. See, maybe I just need to get rid of that. Let's do it the proper way. We'll comment it out for now. There we go. All right. So then here, see now okay. So I can see what I need to do here. I do want it here. So then we'll take that off. So it looks okay there. And then when I go over here, well, now it's not doing it. Okay. All right. So anyway, I must have done that. So anyway, so we go over here to the next deal here, to where we go to this here, and we want to go like we're still dealing with one column. So remember the grid template areas. So we want the nav, the header, the hero, the main, the footer. Okay. So here I'm just saying auto and the columns, make as many columns as we need. You can define that. Say if you here this is still just one column. Okay, so the nav, this is still the nav, but you'll see what happened here is in the earlier grid up here, I said I want the header up top and then I want the nav. So, but then when I go over here, hey, the nav's up over there. Like, what's the scoop? So the scoop is, those of you that are still apparently alive and well and paying attention, we'll go down to the 600 here, and it's just flopping these around. So if I take this guy off, okay, and then do this here and put it there, now it's over here. This is what makes this so easy. This at this stage here, you should go like, well, man, this is an easy way to lay things out. And it is, and I get students that go like, oh, this is so hard, this grid, I don't get it. Well, it's not hard if you laid it out right and you've got your tags and you understand what's going on, and then it's like, oh, well, that's pretty easy. So stick the nav up there, and that's nothing you got to do to it. So here, display grid template columns. We're just doing auto. It'll figure itself out. Only time you got to, and this is what I try to do, is, don't put in a bunch of extra stuff unless it's not looking the way you want. Now, in the header, this is the same stuff. So let's see if this is up. Okay, this is still here. So here, display flex, space around. So I'm changing a little bit of this here. So like if we're looking at this here, the header, I'm asking it to display. This is not asking it to display flex here. Or actually, I did have it display flex. Okay, remember, because I'm doing the first one as grid, then when you get to the header, what we did is, well, actually here I took it off there. Didn't put it back. So here, this is like display flex. I was just showing you that you could make that block. So we display flex. We could have it like that, but I know that that's probably when it gets here, it's going to do some funky stuff. So then that's when we want to go flex direction and column. And this just basically turns it back into displaying like block. So I want it to be like this. So here, then here we go to this one. Now you're going to see, because I changed that like that there, now it's displaying this way. Now if you like that, you'll find hunky-dory, you could leave it that way. It doesn't matter. But here we go over to the minimum of 600 pixels with the media query, and then we'll get to the header and we'll see that, okay, so displaying flex, but it's like because I displayed it as column before, then I got to go flex direction, and then go to, see, you only got two, well, actually here, you see you got column reverse. This is kind of cool here, is that that should flop that around there. I don't know why it's not doing it. But anyway, here, what let's see, maybe I need the semicolon. There you go. So you can flop it like this. What the whole grid tries to do is make your life super duper pooper scooper easy. So, without a lot of like, oh, now how do I change the code up? And you're not going to change the code at all. You're just changing with CSS. CSS is a powerful language. So here, who do we have? Oh, there we go. We got Shayla. Hey, Shayla, look at, I'm explaining all this stuff here, and you'll really appreciate it. Make sure you watch the first part of this. Is going over for your own website thing. So here we've got display flex here, column reverse. Now here, in terms of this, I don't want the header to display column reverse. I want it to go just row. Boom, there you go. And when you're however you want to align the content, there is I think another one is and it gives you the this here space between. Now I don't like that. That doesn't give you any here. One I typically use is space around. Okay. And align items. I always get these justify content and align items. This is kind of like justify content is sort of like, when you're going in a row, it's kind of left and right, and align items kind of up and down. So here, if you take center off here, the default is it wants to align as to the top. Okay. So here, or you can kind of go stretch, which you're not going to do anything with this one. If you had about 3 or 4 rows of type, it would stretch it from the top to the bottom there. So, but anyway, so here, align items is kind of like aligning them central, which is probably what you want to do to begin with here. So that's all that does there. So then you go to the nav. Now with the nav here, like here, you can kind of see that it is all not doing anything with nav other than the background color. The nav UL is inside the nav. I've just got this as a box, and then nav. Could we get away without having a nav period? Sure, we could just get rid of the nav tag and just go to straight nav UL. But I just put it inside a nav just in case I want to do some other things here. So here you can kind of see that going to the nav, we'll constantly remind you and then update Shayla as we go here. So like here, and just as a recap here, this whole make your own website thing here is based on the grid. And unlike what we did last class there, or actually the last couple of classes, when it comes, or even with the Pacific Trails, she does, like, the first one is block. And can you make this all block? Yeah, it's going to look pretty much the same thing. Everything's just flowing the way you want it to flow here. And when you display this as grid, like if I take all this stuff off here, as far as the display grid business like this, I'll just comment it out. You're going to see pretty much that it looks exactly the same way. This is displaying block. But to make you understand grid better, I just decided that put this as grid as well. It looks no different than block, but it makes it much more understandable when we go further on to understand grid, I think. So here, now we get over to this here. I want to take this off, and when we take off the comment, and oops, didn't I take it off here? Take off the comment. There we go. Now you're going to see that, hey, it doesn't do a damn bit of difference displaying the thing here. So it's all just the same. So the only thing that I didn't do up top here, and I did it at the bottom, it doesn't really matter, is naming the grid template areas. So, but get back to this here. So here, you'll see that this here in the header, we got that is, and you can display all the different divs in here separately. So the header is display flex, and it's the flex directions column. As I showed you before, if we want to change it to row, that's row. You could leave it like that if it makes you happy. But I think it displays better because I've got everything being kind of responsive there. And then when it goes over here, then boom, look at it, flips over there. And the nice thing about this is here, I've with the display grid, I've got the header, the nav, the hero, main, and then footer like that. And then here, get this over to here, and all I did here, as I was just explaining previously, let's see, we'll get down over to the media area here. So we've got a media, a min 600. So here we're displaying grid and grid template areas. Here we're calling it like nav header, just like this here. And I wonder where I described those grid areas there. I did it somewhere in here, which will apply everywhere. I mean, the browsers read the code so fast it doesn't necessarily have to be in order, some things. So anyway, so here it's like, how did the nav get up here? And how did the nav flop around like that? So it's like, boom, like this here. So all you got to do here is, and this is under at media. So this is a media query. This is when somebody's looking at your website. Your website is going like, what size of screen are they looking at? This it, and then they find out, with a media query, goes like, well, the minimum, they're looking at it a tablet, so it should display like this. So it figures it out itself. And so when we go over here, this is like, you can't get easier than this here, is kind of go here and plunk that in. And now we've got the nav back down over here. Now, if you want that, I just kind of like the nav being up top there. I think it looks a little bit more modern. So we want to try to make something more modern. And just think of this as your template. Everything's still one column here. Okay? So that's all great, fine and dandy. Now, like I say, on this one, if you just don't want to make this a grid, doesn't matter. But I think to understand, because you don't have to make it a grid, but to understand grid, I think it's a better idea to, like, when you get over to here, then just every page is grid. So now we go up to this here, and where do we go? Where's the media query here? Oops, where did I go here? So like this. Now remember, spaces in CSS don't really matter. Just kind of more fun if you line these up so that think of it as your template. It's when I see this, it's just like one column, and that's how I want them all to go. And then here you can just see that the nav is flopped up here. So, and then once again, the header, we've got this displaying flex. So here you can see that it doesn't matter how we've got this showing here. Like this is the you should in your in your in your code list things the way they should go. Like here, if we look at this, here we'll see that we've got the header first, then we got the nav, and then we got main, and well, actually here we've got that hero div, and here we've got main, and then these articles are in here. Remember, when you're dealing with grid, I'll say this stuff 100 times, just because I can. All it looks for are the direct children of the wrapper. Doesn't matter, like all these other dudes that are in here. Like it's not looking, it looks for the header. It doesn't look for this div class logo. It doesn't look for title, the H1 in there. Doesn't look for all the UL, LI stuff. That it just goes, okay, there's a header div. That's the parent. These are children of the parent divs here. These guys would be like grandchildren of the wrapper div here, which is displaying grid. And so this one is the hero. And like this one here, when you call it grid area, grid template area, I called it, get over here. You'll see that I just called it hero. You can call these things whatever you want, as long as it lines up with the whatever you're claiming the grid area to be. So grid template areas. So that's what I'm calling those guys, like so. And then so getting back to this, so here now in grid min width 1,000 pixels. Now you'll see that I was going so far because I was only going one column. Like here, I was just going, and this is the simplest of things, because it's just one column, I just put it as auto. And I don't want it a particular width, I just do whatever it needs. And then grid template rows, it's best to go with just auto there, because if you just keep adding rows, then who cares? Then you don't gotta, like if you start declaring, how many rows, 3, 5, 6. If you put, I only want 3 rows, and then you change your mind, you want 5 rows, then things aren't going to display properly. So grid template column auto, grid template rows auto, and here's the grid template areas. And these are the names that we call them here, like so. And somebody's dog is barking, which Coben wants, or no, it's Pam wants to share. There we go. She wasn't even there. So anyway, now once we go up to, we'll take this and slide it over. So this, nothing else has changed. It's all single column. These guys here are just exactly the same as what I did with the header. These are flex areas in here. And so, like if we go to where that is here, the min width 600. So here you see the header is a flex, and I want the flex direction to be a row. And then this is just all the stuff to make the change the stuff in the nav. Now, like in the row here, you only got to change stuff that you want to change. Like anything that you don't change up here will flow through. Okay, it'll just, it's not going to change. So here, on this here, to get to the media min width 600, it's going to display like that. So here, if we look at the nav border bottom on this, so here we'll see the nav border bottom. I don't know why I would have that on there. It's not displaying, but anyway, why would I want to have a border bottom on there? One can only guess, but anyway, let's just, who knows what I was thinking, but anyway, we'll just comment that shouldn't really change things. Okay, actually there was a dark row there. Oh, what a dope. Anyway, the background color, so that's the whole nav. So the nav UL, just to understand this here. If we put a background color, Just, whenever you have issues, don't worry about it flopping around like that. You can kind of see that, okay, this thing takes up the whole space inside here. And this is probably why I wanted to have this in a nav, because it's a little bit wider in there. So, and let's go with the nav UL. You'll see what flex direction is row. Now, if I flop this back to column, you'll see that it looks just like it was over in the other one there, except for the green background. Now, do I really want that like that? No. So I want to go with row. Okay, so that kind of puts it there. We can kind of get rid of that. So flex in, when you're dealing with flex, the difference between flex and grid is grid, you can deal with horizontal and vertical placement of things. When you're dealing with flex, it's either or. So that's why it's good in areas, say, like for a navigation system. So like the Nav UL, this is the way it would normally look at things as column, and that's the same as pretty much block. That's how it's meant to display. That's the default, and that's row. Another thing that's cool here is you could, just go like, well, I want all those things to column reverse. So now home is down here, about is here. Why you would want to do that, I don't know, but just know that you can do that. Maybe some reasons to do that. Okay, and then so we've got, that's the nav UL, and then the gap on here. If we get rid of the gap on here, gap is a newer attribute, and it works better than margins for this here, is why they came up with it. So I think I had 2M there. Oops, 2M. Okay, so that kind of goes like that there. And so now that's flopped around here. We'll get rid of the green color here. We don't need that. But like the green color helps, so you can kind of tell, do I have padding on here or do I have what? And, why is it not fitting? Like, why is it over here? The other thing, justify content here. The other one is like center, so you could have it like that. And by default, it is flex start is what it looks like. And that's flex start there without me even putting it in. But, most websites have it kind of going like this. So that's why, here, because it's so easy in this here, like, boom, look at it. Oh, wow, that's just great. This is all just kind of going the way it wants to. Now this, the only major change here is that. And then if we look at these areas here, so if we go like here, I got Article 1, and I want that to display flex. If I take that off, it's just going, and you see I've got all the images displaying at 100%. So that's why it booms up to that size. Now maybe you want that like that, and you go like, yeah, I like it here. That's what I want. And that looks good. I think the image is a little bit too big. So here I just go display flex, and so by default it displays row. Now here's a good reason to just to show you here, like flex direction without changing your code at all. Here you can go like, well, here's where I want a column reverse. Okay, so now, and if there's room for it, what happens is, actually it should have been row reverse. So there, so now I can go, and this is like when you're designing stuff, you go like, oh, hey, I want it like this. Okay, so that's like display flex article 1. So that's row reverse there if you like it like that. Or you can just change it back to row, whatever thrills you. This one here, I had row reverse in this one. So I'm just thinking, if I got an image here, it looked better to have an image there. And why, with the article, why you want to put a class on here is that, hey, I want the text to be white, and I want the the background to be a dark gray, and or 666, and here I want in Article 2, here it just goes back to the whatever I've been doing elsewhere, the other colors. So, and then, getting back to this now with the media min width. Now here, once it gets up to 1,000 pixels, what happens is this starts looking too wide. It'll be okay on a tablet, so great. But then you get past this, and then boom, okay, I want to use 2 columns down here, and so that's great. So here, I still want this to be flex, and then I got the header here, and then the nav, and then the hero, that class, here, all you get, just call it whatever you want to call it. So nav, and then hero, and then nav main. So you can see that here's the hero. I've got this in a separate tag div. If I put the nav hero inside the main, then I wouldn't need to have a hero one, but it is separate. And the main reason I did that is because, if I have to do some padding and do something, it affects the hero. So if I have the hero one separate, then that's great. So I can also change this around here. Say like I want, let's say I don't want the, well, actually I want the nav there, and the nav goes like this, and like everything is going, I got the nav stretching all the way down here. Maybe if and this is all just, to your discretion. Maybe you want a hero goes all the way across there. So here, just how you can change stuff. Easy peasy once you name it. So go like, I want the hero going straight across like that. So now we got that like that, and that like that. And now the nav, I don't really like that, but just to show you that you could do it. And then the nav all goes all the way down there, and you go like, well, I don't want that. I want the footer to go right across everything. Then boom. So we got it looking like that. So maybe that's what makes you happy. Now maybe that doesn't make you happy. Maybe so we got hero here, and I'm not a big fan of the side nav thing there, but you can certainly do it. Just know that you can just shuffle these things around with very little effort. Sometimes you'll have some screwy things going on, but for the most part, you can change it around to however you want it to look. So here, say you want this to be the hero here, going right straight across the whole page, and then you want here we'll change this to main here, like so. And so then main will go right across the whole deal, and then the footer goes across. Now right now we don't got the nav, so it usually will end up down here because it's a direct child, and you're going like, hey, where do you want me to go? And so all you got to do there is and because we've got it on auto for rows, we can add another row, and it becomes less of a problem. Or not nav, or yeah, nav's what we want, and kind of stick it up there. Now we just got to go back and change it to flex row, because now it's displaying like we had it before. That's the normal way of displaying it. And we asked it down here to nav to display block. So here we can go to, well, not display block, flex direction column, flex direction row. So like this, like so. And then you could go change all this stuff up again. Now here, this is just justify the way I want it there. I really don't want to do it this way. So here, flex direction is row. Okay, and then we want to go with the gap, margin right. And no, actually I want it to be column. What am I saying? Okay, put it back like that. That's how it looks fine here, but it's way too big. Remember, if you want, if you change this from display block or just get rid of display block on the nav A, like this here. What'll happen? Well, here it's not doing it here. That's because I asked for it to be display block up earlier in the first one here. So it's just when you don't have it, it'll just do what you said before. It doesn't change. So anyway, that's not how we want it here. We want to go here, and we want to go like, okay, we want to get rid of this here. We don't want it up there. That was fun, just to show you. And do we want, maybe, like I say, I probably want to shrink the hero. So I have that like that. And you could leave it like that if that thrills you. Maybe that looks pretty good. This is a pretty short nav bar anyway, so you could do that. But you can go like, well, let's see. This is where you want to mess around. Now you're welcome to use this, like I said. Here, put this here. So now you got the nav bar goes the whole width of it, or the whole height of this here. And what's easiest here, the only one I defined here like is the width of the columns. So like here I'm going like, if you just go auto, then life is good. It's just like you want this 150 pixels in the column, and here say you want it a little wider, you can make it a little wider. Usually on this size here, you probably don't want that to shrink or anything. So that's the main thing. And when you got this all going auto, then this guy stays constant there. And then the rest of this stuff is what shrinks. And then when it starts looking silly, then it switches over to this here. So these are all displaying grid. And this just is the way to go for sport fans. And so this here. So like if you want to take your own website that you were working on before, this one here, and this is for the gallery. And I didn't put the gallery page up here, which you should kind of focus on here. I know we still got to do the one more form page here, but if you guys don't start getting together, making you, and part of this is my fault, I understand it was not, and it's still showing up twice in the grade book and not showing up in other areas. I don't know what's going on, goofy. But here, if we go to the gallery, open this up, now this is what it would look like here, and I put some images in here to help out. So here, the home, so that is like what we have here, so you can see how it works around, goes down to where it's less than 1,000, then it flops over to that one. So that's what the grid's asking for there. And then when we go down to all the way here, then it flops over here. Now you could, and you'll see a lot of websites where they'll have like a hamburger menu up top here, and then your menu isn't sticking out here all the time. It's like you click the hamburger menu and this thing kind of drops down here. But that's scripting. That's like next level, so we won't be doing that. So you got enough to worry about. So anyway, so this is how it looks there. This is still grid, and it's exactly the same as displaying block if you're not doing anything other things there. Like so. And then here, when we go to this is displaying block. And as you can see, as I pointed out, the nav flopped from where it was before and being a flex column to being a flex row. And then this is displaying flex and. Looks great. Changed some of the coloration around on it there too. We didn't really look at that, but whatever you want to change about it. So that's in the media query. That's where here you can see that, this is a light background, and then the nav A button, it just reversed them for this here because I thought it looked better. And so that's like that. And then, like the coloration that I did here, when it goes over here, we just changed the arrangement of things in the grid, but the coloration is the exact same thing as this. So if we don't change any of the coloration here, then that's what it'll inherit. Okay, but I could, if I go like, well, I want the coloration to be different here, well, I could do that. Okay, so, but getting back to the, this is the flex template here, and let's go to the gallery. I'll open that up there again there. And so with this one here, I fleshed it out a little bit further on this here. So the home page is just like straight template. These are just, and you can look at the size of these images to see what size. Well, actually, they're like 100% of what will fit there. And here on these, it looks like for this page here on the About page, I made it so that, you can just figure out what width you want this to be. And if you call that on flex, like I'm calling this box here, the article, I think it was class 1 or something like that. And so this I would have called the image take up a flex of 1, and this is probably like a flex of 2 or 3, something like that. And the same as this is just the same deal. Okay. And then, so that's all looking like that there. And then if we go to the gallery page, okay, so the only section here, it's like the main section. Like once you got stuff laid out, like, I don't have a title for the web page, and I don't have a logo. Like I say, in a logo, you probably want to get, like, unless you want, if you use a JPEG, that's the worst idea. You want to probably, the best idea is using a SVG, but we're not going to worry about that. That's not a digital. This isn't a Photoshop class. So, but if you can save it as, transparent background as a ping, that'll give you a much, like here, this is I think it's a ping, might be an SVG, but it gives you like a transparent background. Or I could have cheated and it could be a JPEG with just a white box there, but then you're limited to, putting it on a white background. But anyways, that's another issue there. So here in this area here, we've got the hero image like so, and in the gallery. So this is actually, when we look at the code, you'll see the gallery is inside the main area. So that'll make life easier for you, is to, like, in your grid business here, like when you're calling all your stuff here, say like here, I've got a gallery, and actually probably just be easier to go over here and open it with Dreamweaver. So we'll look at it in here, and we'll see how did I lay this out here. So all this stuff here should be about the same. So once you make your first page, the only part you're really going to be changing probably is the hero image and your main section. But whatever you're doing up here, your title for your web page should be the same. The logo should be the same. This, just for interest's sake, changing the hero image is a good idea. But here, all this CSS and media queries work on every page the same way. So once you get that solved, then just changing a bit of the content is not a big deal. Now here, this all kind of works out okay in terms of how this aligns, and it's very easy to do. So like here, you'll see that up to 1,000 pixels here. This is displaying 100%, and it kind of jumps around a little bit there. But here, once we get down to here, I got some, if I recall, some kind of glitchy thing happening with it. But here we got this here, and you'll see that there's still room for 3 columns of these here. And that, like I say, when you look at the CSS, and I'll point that out right shortly here, as this keeps jumping up there, you'll see here that it drive me crazy. It will switch to here, and because there's more room for this here, like so, it kind of goes in there like that. And then here, what happens is there's even more room, so they will fill the area even better there. Now it's a little easier looking at on this over just on Safari here. So we look at it, doesn't jump around like it does on Dreamweaver. So as we shrink down, see that there's not enough room for 3 of them across. So it automatically goes to 2 across. And for some reason, for some weird reason here, well, I think it's not a weird reason. It's just because I moved the navigation structure up top here. So then there's more room. So that's why it goes to 3. The nav's up here now. But when people are looking at this, this is probably going to be like a tablet view. They're probably not going to be scrolling back and forth like that. But then when we get here, if they're looking at a smaller device, then you'll see that, there's only room for 2 columns. So that's how that goes. And then it goes further down here for like mobile. And then boom, I kind of like it, make it kind of bigger like this here. Looks kind of good. And kind of got a single row. I think that looks fine. And here on this one, if we get even narrower here, now that switches this to being this way, and that looks great. So on the gallery page, and I know it's a while back since we farted around with gallery stuff and that, but let's get out of that out of the way, get that out of the way. And then we go over to, let's look at, what shall we say here? So we got the gallery. Let's look at it so you can see them all. So we got it like this here. So, and it's in the main section. So we've got H1, and then we got div gallery. And I put the H1 outside of gallery. So like just to show you how you can screw things up when you're not paying attention. If I go like this and I put gallery 1 in there, and it's like, well, why is it doing that? What the heck? Now it just kind of screwed up this here because this gallery it actually says gallery. Maybe you like that, but I would have to go into the main H1 here and just if I change it on that one, it'll change. So here, main gallery H1, and just to show you that the color of this here, just put it black for now. Should show up there. He says, okay, all right, we'll just take the gallery thing off there. There we go. So you can see that that's what it's doing, is it's taking up that space. Now, do I really want it to be black? No, because it'll screw up on the other pages. So we go here and go back up to this deal, go back to our grid. And then I'll not get over to the code, Now take this, because I don't want it to be, I want it to be in main, but I don't want it to be in the gallery, because I'm asking the gallery to be a grid if in itself, then that the H1 tag goes like, well, it's a direct child, so I guess you want me to be part of that grid. And it's like, no, I don't. I just want it to say gallery like that, but I don't want it in there like so. So now the reason why it went white in there is because I asked for the color of the text to be white here. That's why it changed to white. Okay, so and here what is a good idea is to put all your images, and also figure out how big you want your images to be. So and I know this is a little bit tricky business here, but if we go to figure, and then we got the image here, and you see I'm not deciding anything on size of this thing here. So but if we want to look, because we want it to look good at the biggest size, and right now what I got, the biggest size is going to be right about here. So I want it to look good. And you'll see that the image, and this is a good way to do it, where you can put a little frame around it, make it a little fancy. And then in the figure, I put a rounded rectangle, or the rounded corner thing on it. And then you can have a place to put the fig caption, so the titles. And so that's all inside a figure. Okay, so these are the direct children of that. Okay, and so that's all in there, but you want to figure out, like, well, how big does this need to be? Like, if you, and you can do this, you can kind of, I'll just take my pictures off my phone, and I've have students do this because they're not paying attention, and they'll put the picture from their phone that's like 3,000 by 4,000 pixels, which is just gigantic, taking up way too much space. They'll send me their root folder with their images in it, and it's like, well, here's my website, and it's like 150 megabytes. It's like, whoa, your site shouldn't be more than about 10 megabytes at the most. So what you need to do there is, like, when you once you decide on your images, which is a good thing to do, is to let's open up where I had the Finder there. And so if we go to images here, and and this is a good way to name your things, especially if you're making your gallery, like, if you just title them whatever, they're gonna be all over the place. So here, I know these are the images I want in the gallery, so I call it gallery one, and then, you should give it a more proper name there. But if you go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you don't even have to put gallery. I just put that so I know they're the gallery images. And here on a Mac, you can go over here and go like, all right, this is 640 by 404. So here, I know that the biggest I want this image in here. Now, this is a little bit bigger than it should be, but it's only 117K. If you take a photo right directly off your phone and you plunk it right in here, each image is going to be about 5, 6, 10 megapixels. And that's just crazy big. And then you get a bunch of images like this, and all of a sudden, this folder has way too much image, and it's not going to look any better. So here, I decided that was because I just got these off the web. Now, I know some of you may not be, photographers, so whatever your site is about, you can always go over to, and I know most of you know this, but I'll just go for sure to show you here. Just add another page here. Go to a place like Pexels. I overuse this place. I really feel guilty. I should be a member. So Pexels, and say, like, okay, I'm doing a thing on cats. Oops, no, not up there. Get to the right search bar. Cats. Okay, I'm sure they got tons of cats. Now think about the proportions of things. If because you probably want to crop these to be about the same size. Now, if you get an image like this, and then an image like this, can you tell the aspect ratio is different? And if you can make life easier for you, is just try to find the same proportions. So like here, and also on this here, if you just click free download on here, it's going to download the biggest size of the image. So you don't want to do that. Go over here, and you can pick the smallest, the 640. So that's good. And you can also take it to a photo editor, and if you could make it smaller from there. Now, if you're doing your hero images, should be whatever I had on there was like 1200 by 300. So you want to make sure it's something like that. Now, if you were to use this, just remember you'd have to crop that. You're not going to get this whole image in there. If you try to get it so that this fits 300 here, then you're going to have to, crop, about 500 pixels up and down off there. But you can kind of go in here and download the selected size like this here, or here I'll just do 1280 to make a banner type thing. So that's it there. You can see how big that image is. And I saved that to download. You could save it right directly into your images, but I don't do that until I edit it and get it looking exactly how I want. And here, with that download that I have there, you get all these images anyway. So you can kind of see what I did. You know, if you're on a PC, I'm sure they have a thing that shows you, like, look at this image placeholder is only 32. Now it's a JPEG, so that's not a great thing. But here, just swapping out just to give you a brief, like, how do I do that? Kind of thing here is we can slip over to Photoshop. I don't want to go to the downloads yet. And this works pretty much the same on any kind of photo editor kind of situation. But here you want to go to File and then Open. So we'll get that cat one. I just want to go through a run through so you don't have any excuse to go like, I don't know how to do that. So let's go here to date added. It should be the first one. There it is. Open it up. Okay, so say I want to use this for, and I think it was 1200 by 300 was what I had set out for the hero images. So, and let's see, I got 4 pages, so I probably want 4 different hero images would be a good idea. And so here we want to go with cropping this sucker. So here, first of all, if you want to fix anything, we would want to do that. So, but here we want to go to crop, and here you can don't have to really worry about the resolution or anything. I mean, you can if you want, but I know with this one I want it 1200 by 300. Now this is like something that you go like, well, that kind of screws it up. That's not going to give me much of what I want here. So we'll try to get a portion that's at least kind of cute. Just kind of know that that's kind of a situation that will happen here. Is you're going to, because it's a wrong kind of ratio, that that's what's going to happen. Is that's all that you're going to be getting out of that sucker. But anyway, so we got that. That's kind of fun. Now it looks in here, looks much smaller than it actually is. So once you have this here, it's 1200 by 300. So we know that's a hero image. So here you can kind of go to export. You can save it as a PSD or save it as the original. Right now I didn't do anything to it, so it's still a JPEG. But here, export as. And here, this one, we wanted a JPEG 6. It's only 108 kilobytes, 1200 by 300. That's fine. You could also know if you want somebody to click on an image and zoom in on it, you might want to give it a 2 times thing on here, or 3 times. That's be maybe for your gallery images and that. But here, so 1200 by 300, already made it the right size. So export. And then, let's see, just for the fun of it here, go to downloads. We'll just go to this mobile. We'll throw it right into the images here. And here, I'm just going to call this hero 1 cat. And then I also do this kind of thing. It helps me to, just when I'm looking at files, to know what the pixels are. So 1200 by 300, so that's kind of a good deal. Makes life easier in the long run. And now when I get another hero image, hero 2, 3, 4, then I can kind of stick it all into there, and then I can find them easy, just like this here. Here I did 2 and then 3. It's probably better to go hero 1, 2, 3, because if you just do the numbers, I did that with that. That's okay. But anyway, so we'll go with this here. We'll save that. Okay. And then we can, if you want to save the original, whatever you did there, I don't. So it was not that big of a deal. Now this should show up here. So we should go at some point in time, that cat guy should go, hello. Oh no, that's not ever going to show up there. because this is Pacific Trails and I'm not using this the way I should. But here now what I could do is, and let's see how I did this, because I'm not a big fan of the background images. I think I just stuck the images here. Like, so we just got to go to where the hero images are. Hero image, header, div, hero with, oh, maybe I did do a background image there. Or no, I didn't do a background image. What am I doing? So, getting over to this here. Now, what do I have that? Class 1. Oh, okay. Here, for, why did I have that like that? I don't know. Oh, that's right. So just to make my life easier on here for the gallery, I got rid of the article 1 and that sort of thing. And so that's that. Here I could have, for the gallery HTML here, I just commented out, because I took this page from the first page, the index page. And so these are things I don't want to see on this page. I just want the gallery to be inside there. So that's why I did that there. Just got to figure out what I did here. Did it like a year ago. So here, div class gallery, we got that there. Then we go up to the hero. So here we want to go, well, we don't want that image in here. For some wacky reason, we want a cat image. So there it is right there, hero 1 cat. And boom, now that's just so much cuter. So get that in there. And then we could do the same thing for each individual page, change it on there. Now, I don't really want the cat in there, but that's just to show you how to do that. Now, with your gallery images as well, is resize them, make them, like I say, probably probably the biggest you need it to be is about 500. If you make it a little bigger, that's not that big of a deal. But like I say, it should be, your images should be like 100, 200 kilobytes, not 10 megapixels. So make sure that you're resizing things. Optimizing is what it's actually called. And with this here, just getting over to the grid here and this is especially for, well, here with the hero, you'll see with this, I got the width at 100%. Like if I change this to say like 1200 pixels, what happens here is it don't shrink. So that just becomes like, oh my goodness, that's not good. So to make your life easier, that's why you want, it'll fill up the space that's available, 100%. Oops, 100% there. So that goes like that. And I don't define the height on this. Some people do. Here I find, generally speaking, it keeps it in proportion that way. This here gets a little maybe narrow, but it doesn't distort it anything. So that's kind of how I like it. And then getting back to this gallery page here, what you want to do to display that. So here, that's the nav. Get over in this gallery. You could have this on the embedded section in the just the gallery page itself, but here we've got gallery, and we're displaying the gallery as a grid as well. And this, I have not talked about this, but just memorize this here. Like I don't, I want it to, the one fractal to work. So, but the thing that is amazing about this here is it's called auto fit. Okay, and if I get time to talk about it, I will. But here, grid template columns. So you want it to repeat. This makes things so much easier. So, and you want it to be at auto fit and min max, so that the The minimum you want these is to be 300 pixels, and then the 1FR is just like, well, whatever space is there, that's what we want. And here you've got a parentheses and a parentheses here, and then another one and another one, and min max here, and there's the space there. And so that's how that goes. And what that does is it just makes it auto fit in here. Makes life really super easy. Trust me. And the grid template rows, once again, just auto. And this only applies to just a gallery div. Okay. And padding, 1M. So that's, we're just finding in there, like if we take the padding off, see what happens. So, it just needed at least I thought it needed a bit of padding, so that was fine. Font size is 0.8. If you like the author likes big of the text, likes bigger font, you can make it bigger, kind of fit it in there. Now the nice thing here is all these images aren't quite exactly the same height, because apparently I was too lazy to do that. But if you put it in the figure here, you're not going to notice it that much. So, but anyway, so go to 0.8M, get that in there, and it's probably make your life easier if you put all kind of landscape ones, or if you're going to put portrait ones, then it'll just line up better. But if you switch them around, then you'll have a lot more fun trying to get them to look right. So gallery figure. So the figure, this is the figure inside your, you got the gallery, and then you got gallery figure. And so the padding is 1.5. So on the figure, let's take that out. And so you see what the padding does in there is the padding is inside the figure. So that puts padding in there with the content inside. So padding is inside the div, and margin is on the outside, or here you actually is like also is gap. So here we'll put this in here. So if you want more of a, kind of padding around there, that just shows more of the background color of that. And the background color is this 777. Take that out, and you'll see that's what that looks like. Put that in there. And then border radius, that's just putting a little rounded corner there. And then article 2, that is just for, that's on the other pages there. So just however you want that to look. So, and here's where grid area declarations. So here, this, remember this is, and on the grid CSS here, I don't know where I didn't find it on the other one. So here you can go with the grid area declarations. Don't forget to do that. So like I was saying, like here, just using normal divs like header nav are fine, but here div a class hero, then you can just call it the grid area just hero. That's the only one that's weird. And this one here is as far as main and footer, those are all standard div names there as well. And then once again, this is just listing it all out like that there. So that is that. So this is all the same stuff that we had before. And that's on your external CSS. So hopefully with this information, like I'm just kind of worried more about you getting your own website to some state. So I really was wanting to do the forum thing, but the forum is kind of like the table that we did. The author doesn't go very deep into forums. That's a whole new ball game. But, it's kind of like a contact form, so it's not that really hard to do. We'll do that next week. So here, I want you to at least get the first 3 pages of your website done and, hand it in so I can kind of see where you're at. And like I say, and don't freak out too much about, get the content in as much as you can, in images and that sort of, and if you have to use images that are like from stock photos and that, you could do that. But if you got your own images, try to make it as real as possible. But just remember, whatever you got going here, you can always add to it. This is like if you make a website for yourself, you'll find that it's a living document that you can continually upgrade. And what you've learned here, whether you're confused or not, you'll find that in the long run, sooner or later, it all kind of, if you keep at it, it'll coagulate into something. So anyway, I'm going to go into the good old grade book and see why I have two of this particular assignment showing up, and it wasn't showing up. I changed it the other day. I don't know what's going on with this canvas. It's not my friend lately. So anyway, we'll see you on Monday. So try to work on this thing is the main deal. The other only thing you need to do are the from the chapter were the tables, and it didn't really get you to do much for the hands-on, and the Pacific Trails one is really just adding a table to the yurts page. So, and making tables are pretty easy peasy. I just want you really to understand grid, because as soon as you understand grid, that's where the web world is now. It's kind of fun knowing older ways of doing some stuff there, but is it stuff that you're going to use? No, I just think it confuses you more. So hopefully I unconfused you or just confused you even further. I don't know, one of the two. Anyway, see you Monday.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.